Hello, I hope you're doing very well. The video in the background and the sound and everything was recorded last fall during a thunderstorm outside of my house. And I kind of just stumbled across this video. I forgot that I took it. I think I recorded it because I wanted to figure out how those people on YouTube make the thunderstorm loops. Anyways, I thought I would do a nice soft-spoken voiceover over the thunderstorm sounds. I think I'll also just upload the video without me talking too. Anyways, I'm going to be reading about coincidences. So, this was a question on Ask Reddit about 3 years ago. And the question is, what was the biggest coincidence that made you question the fabric of reality? I love coincidences. I've had a few strange ones myself. But let's see what people have to say. This was a deleted user. This was the top comment. He said, or she said, or they said, "This guy I went to grade school and high school with, an acquaintance at best. I've seen him in 5 different locations in different countries throughout the last 15 years. Disney World when I was a kid, some beach bar in Thailand, the Bean in Chicago, a pub in Budapest, and a library in San Jose, Costa Rica. We've become friends due to our love of traveling, but neither of us post on social media, and neither of us communicated with each other our plans to travel. We never talked outside of the random meetings. Now if I see him, it's like the world wants us to have a beer together." That's funny. There's the next one. "I was crossing the street after leaving a store and had the strangest feeling I was going to break my ankle. So I carefully avoided a vehicle coming my way. That evening, I went to pick up Thai food, fell leaving the restaurant on less than a 4-inch step, and shattered my ankle to the point of needing surgery, and after a year haven't fully healed. That sucks." "My friend and I were on a road trip a few years ago and needed a place to stay. We both told each other we had a friend in the city we were going through, so we figured we'd be able to crash with one of them. Turns out our 2 friends were roommates and had both been telling each other that they had a friend coming to town soon." That's funny. "I dialed my mum on my mobile," that is such an English sentence, "when I was on public transport and accidentally swapped 2 numbers around. The person I called was on the same carriage. That one's weird." "One time, me and my dad were discussing his friend while out driving at night without many other cars on the road. As we were talking, we pulled up to a red light, and the car waiting in front was my dad's friend. He didn't even live close to there. My wife and I were looking to hire a caterer for our wedding, and when we met, my wife and her started talking about their lives a bit. Turns out they had both literally grown up on this same street, in a city of 10 million people. on the other side of the world. Both had left the city around a decade before immigrating to our current country. They knew the same people, had hung out at the same coffee place, even attended the same church. They even used to grab mangoes off the same large tree that hung over the wall of one of the large houses in the neighborhood. This commenter says, "This isn't as crazy as the other ones I read, but it's mine. We probably scared the shit out of some poor old couple while on a road trip. We were going to my grandmother's and we followed the same car for over 4 hours and eventually stopped at the same restaurant and the same gas station and only ever stopped when we pulled into my grandma's residential neighborhood. Sometimes cars follow me like that for longer periods of time, and obviously nothing's ever happened to me, but I always do wonder, is this the time that I'm being followed?" Here's the next one. "I passed out after receiving a flu shot when I was 28. The nurse who helped me up kept asking if I wanted my mom. It seemed like a really weird thing to offer an adult woman, the option to have her mother phoned and brought in, so I was really confused and getting progressively more annoyed at her repeatedly asking, until my mom walked up to me. She had the appointment after mine to get vaccinated. The nurses assumed we had come together, but neither of us knew about the other's appointment, and we lived an hour away from each other in different cities." The Jim twins. Look it up. 2 twins who were given up for adoption at birth, given the same first name by their adoptive parents, took family vacations to the same beach, married women with the same name, divorced, and their second wives' names were off by 1 letter. Both served as volunteer sheriffs. Both were into carpentry. Both smoked the same brand cigarettes and drank the same brand beer. The next comment says, "Now I don't have to look it up." That's funny. Last week, I'm at work doing a job. My coworker strikes up a conversation with the homeowner at the job site and mentions that his parents live across the street from him. He also asks how long he had lived there. Homeowner responds that it's only been a few months. He just moved to the city from small town several hours away. Coworker laughs and says he was born and raised in that town, then asks, "Do you know the miniplex at the corner of X Street and Y Street? I lived right across from that." The homeowner looks confused. "Do you mean at 103 X Street?" "That was my house." They talked more and discovered that my coworker's parents had sold their house to this homeowner when they moved to the city. He lived there for 15 years and then sold it to move to the same city across the street from the previous owners. Small world. Let's see. One morning, as my father and I were leaving our apartment to head to school, he was a teacher at the same high school I attended. I paused at the door, then went back inside to the change bowl and scooped out a fistful of coins. My dad asked why, and I didn't really have a reason. I just said, "We're gonna need this." I wasn't exactly a coherent morning person, so he shrugged it off. As we were driving in, we passed the grocery store, which reminded him he needed tape for his class for some project they were doing. We went in, got to the register, And as the tape was rung up, he realized he didn't have his wallet on him. I said, "I got this," and put down the money I'd taken earlier. It was exact to the penny. Several years ago, I had a husky that was getting on in years. I was very in tune with him, enough that I knew which whines or cues meant which need or want. He had a particularly unique one that signaled when he needed a bathroom break. As he got older, he started needing to go outside in the middle of the night too. Old man problems, am I right? I didn't say that, that was the commenter. When he got to be a bit past 11 years old, my fiance and I started noticing that we could hear the dog from across the house. Then we noticed that he never failed to wake me up at night, even though he wouldn't come in the bedroom to get me, just meet me at the back door. One day she was sitting on the couch with the dog and watching TV while I was taking a nap in the other room. I had sound dampening headphones in, with light music going to drown out distractions. I woke up to the sound of this dog making a loud enough racket to wake me up through all of those precautions, pulled on pants and shoes and stepped into the next room, where my partner asked what was wrong. I said the dog was whining, and she disagreed. So we looked to the dog, who made the tiniest "I need outside" whine before getting up and going to the back door. It was surreal. And then it happened more. I'd be outside in my workshop and hear the dog whine. Within 2 minutes, my partner would be bringing the pup out to do his business. To the day he died, I could tell what that dog needed when he needed it, regardless of distance. Currently, I have a 2-year-old husky that I've started hearing at different volumes than my partner. I'm not psychic, but I think that just maybe some dogs are. Not me, but a story I heard once. The guy telling the story was from the UK and on holiday in Greece. He went for a walk and passed a public phone, which started ringing. On a whim, he answers the phone, and it's his bank calling him about some unusual activity on his account. The bank starts asking him questions, but he's still taken aback by how his bank knew his location. This was in the early 90s, so he asks them how they got this number. The bank tells him that it's the number they have on file. He tells them that can't be right because he's in Greece and this is a public phone box. So the bank tries to work out what happened, and then they realize instead of dialing his phone number, they accidentally dialed his account number, which just happened to be the exact number of this phone box in another country that he also just happened to be walking past at the exact same time that they called. What are the odds of that one? That one gave me goosebumps. Okay. When my brother and I were little, we went to my aunt's lake house for winter break. One of my aunt's friends invited us over to dinner. It was my best friend's family who had family on the same lake and was vacationing at the same time. That one's cute. I was at SeaWorld, and we were there with my kids and Grandma. We went into an outdoor water show and sat in the stands. I was sitting higher up the stands, and my mother-in-law was near the front, which was a splash zone. She didn't want to get wet, so I had to give up my sweet spot to have her sit there and I moved down to the front. Before I could even get to my new seat, a bird flew overhead and dropped a fat turd on her head. Dodged a bullet. Oh my gosh, that one's funny. Okay. When I was in year 7, I always used to giggle when a kid's name got called over the loudspeaker to go to the office, because it was a name that sounded rude. I didn't know this kid. They were in a different year level to me. Never met them. Just remembered the name because it was funny. Fast forward to now, I'm in my 30s with kids. And it turns out that funny named kid is my daughter's best friend's mom. When my older son was very young, he'd talk about how it used to be Bert Roberts. Last name has been changed to protect the innocent. Bert had a twin brother named Bern. Bert's wife was named Betty. Bert was from Idaho. A lot of this was pretty obvious. My wife's family is from Idaho. My wife's name is Betty. Later, for fun, I did a Google search. There was a Burton Roberts from Boise, Idaho. He had a brother, Bernard or Bern. Burton was married to Betty. Burton died 2 weeks after my son was born. My son was born 6 weeks preterm. Obviously just a coincidence. But man, for a minute I was flabbergasted. About 15 years ago or so, I was playing Counter-Strike 1.6 and tried joining a password-protected server with a few people in it. I typed in yellow for the password, and it worked. First try. I'll never forget that. I was playing hide and seek with my best friend at her house when a pipe burst in the basement. Her mom got the water turned off and went to call a plumber, but mistyped one digit and ended up calling my dad, who has the knowledge, skill, and the tools for fixing and building just about everything. He came over and fixed it for free. So, the video is almost to an end. I'm curious if you have any coincidences to share with me. Let me know in the comments. I'll probably do another where I talk about mine. But since we're here, I'll just share one quick one. So I was on the freeway driving back to my house when I saw a car next to me, and it was the same car that a good friend of mine drives. Same color, same make, model, everything. So I was thinking of her. I thought, oh, I wonder if that's her. And I'm thinking about her intensely for probably about 5 seconds. And then I see my phone is ringing, and it's her calling me. I pick up the phone and I say, that was so funny, we saw each other on the freeway. She goes, I don't know what you're talking about. She had called me asking if I wanted to go get a pedicure with her. It wasn't her car on the freeway, but I was really freaked out because I'd been, thinking of her for, 5-10 seconds before she called me. And then for her to call me in that exact moment was such a coincidence. I think I have others, I just can't think of them right now, but that one stands out to me a lot. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any weird coincidence stories, I'm curious. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.